I just read The Will of the Many by James Islington, so of course I'm going to talk about the Latin. Before I begin, I want to say that I love the book and I definitely recommend it, especially to any lover of fantasy. The book takes place in a kind of fantasy Roman Empire, in which the Imperium has conquered the whole world. Latin words, phrases, and concepts are everywhere, and it's awesome. However, there are a few strange things that I want to talk about. And before anyone says, it's just fake Latin, it's not supposed to be accurate, no. James actually seems to have gone to painstaking lengths to ensure the accuracy of Vetusian, the old language of the hierarchy, with real-life classical Latin. So real Latin is the measuring stick that I'll use. Of course, it may be that some of the things I mention are simply stylistic choices, but I don't think so, given how perfectly formed and conjugated many of the words, phrases, and names are. The book is divided into 3 parts, so Caesarean, and the beginning of each has a Latin title. First is Imperium sine fine, Empire without end. So far, so good. Next is Deus nolens exituus. The main problem with this one is that exituus isn't a Latin word. I checked. The first 2 words mean the god not willing, a nice present active participle from everyone's favorite irregular verb, nolo. My best guess is that he meant to say exitium, which altogether would mean the god not wanting destruction, or possibly exitus, the god not wanting exits or deaths. Finally, in cauda venenum, poison in the tail. Awesome. The only bit of Vetusian the reader gets to see is non agere, which apparently means don't react. React, of course, is cognates with the Latin verb agere, so I assume that hospius is trying to say a negative imperative, but this is incorrect. Actually, James would have to use the same verb he used in the heading of part 2, make it a singular imperative, and then use the infinitive agere. It's a common mistake among Latin students. Noli agere. The book also uses Latin plurals in its terminology, although it's a little off, which is understandable given how unnatural it feels to use Latin declension endings in English prose. We have eudicium and plural eudicia, and vitaerium and vitaeria, which are perfect second declension neuter plurals. He also refers to some mystical landmarks as aurora columnae. Note the first declension plural ending here. But he also refers to a single one of these landmarks as an aurora columnae, when it presumably would be aurora columna. But hey, he was probably busy thinking about his amazing plot arcs. But now, my biggest gripe with the terminology. Words that end in us, he pluralizes with ii, like octavus, octavii, and stulus, stulii. I really don't know why he's using 2 i's instead of 1, but it really throws me for a loop. And he doesn't even use his own plural consistently. I can't tell you how many times I've seen him say an octavii, even though he correctly says an octavus at other times. No shade on James though, it just means his editor did a poor job. I absolutely love his names, even though they are a bit on the nose for anyone who knows Latin. But I'm not going to talk about the meaning of the names, lots of people have already done so. I'm going to talk about the pronunciation of said names, because the way he tells us to say them is weirdly inconsistent and it makes my simple brain hurt. And it's not just because different people are from different parts of the empire, even people from the same family have different pronunciation rules, as we'll see. Some of them you pronounce like you would in classical Latin, while others are pronounced as though in English, and some don't match either category. By the way, for this video, I'm ignoring the letter V, which in classical Latin sounds like W. I'm also ignoring syllabic emphasis. So here are the 3 genera of pronunciation. Advenius. Nice and simple. Latin. Equa. Well, we do get the word equal from this word, which is also what it means, but pronouncing the AE diphthong as E is an English thing, as in Caesar. In Latin it's pronounced I, as in Caesar. Ascenia. I'm not sure why this name has a sibilation. Latin would be Ascania and English Ascenia, so this one is a mystery. Atticus. Latin. Ava, Latin. Axion, Latin. Bellivolenus, Latin. Ciror. Once again, the diphthong AE pronounced in English, complete with a softened C. Calidus erisius. Here the letter C is softened after the I, not Latin. Cassia. Perfect Latin. No assimilation. In English it would be Cassia. Drusus caurani. Nice Latin. The O in caurani is a little suspect, but I'll let it slide. Dultatis, Latin. Emissa corenius, beautiful Latin. Exicius, neither. Latin is exacius, English is exicius. Fadrique, that's straight up Spanish, which is great since he's from fantasy Spain. Felix, Latin, feria. English, if it were Latin it'd be ferrea. Gaius Valerius. Because of the second syllable in Valerius, it's English. Yannix, Latin, love this one. Idonia. The consonantal I is possible here for classical Latin, as can be seen when you scan the second line of the Aeneid. Italiam fato profugus la win yaque veni. Indo Quisquil. This guy is supposed to be true Catenan stock, and yet his last name is pronounced like it's Spanish. Latin would be Quisquil. Iro decimus. The first one is English, the second is Latin. It should be either Iro decimus or Iro decimus. Lucius. I'm not gonna lie to you sports fans, that is just Italian. Menendo, Latin. Nechias. Not to be confused with Zacchaeus. I don't know why James isn't pronouncing the Q's. In Latin it's nequias, so neither I guess. Relucia tellimus. Beautiful Latin. I'm just glad it's not relucia or something. Cianus, Latin. Tadia. This one has got to be a mistake. Latin is tidia, English is tedia. Titus, English. It's probably pronounced the English way because it's a famous name in our language rather than the Latin pronunciation Titus. Ulquiscor, Latin. Unlike his brother's name, which is English pronunciation. I really wish I knew whether or not the letter C can make the S sound or not in James's Latin. Olnius Philo. First English, then Latin, just like Iro. That always throws me off. Peridius Julii. Well, Latin is Julii and English is Julii, so neither. Vermes. Haha, his name is Worms. Just for good measure, let's do a few place names and terms. Alupi, English. Also, I was sad that he didn't use alupus for the singular. Good boy, Diago. Anguis, Latin. Aurora columnae, Latin. Bibliotheca, English actually. The Romans pronounced th, which comes from Greek t, hence teatro in modern Italian is from Latin teatrum. Eudicium, Latin. Jovan, Latin. Mira, Latin. Naumachia, Latin pronunciation of a Greek loanword. James, you have no idea how much I appreciate naumachiarii. Preceptor. I don't know what's going on here. Latin is praeceptor, English is preceptor. Praetorium. Same strange pronunciation of the AE diphthong. Quadrum. At long last, we get to pronounce the Q. Quadrum would be crazy. Silencium. The first syllable is English, but the rest is Latin, and it's frying my brain like an egg. Also, this isn't a Latin word. I think he meant silentium. Maybe he got thrown off by Spanish silencio. Assimilation or no assimilation? The Islington coin flip lands on no assimilation. Vorkian, Latin. Remember this one? Any wild guesses how it's pronounced? Which of the 4 pronunciations of the AE diphthong will James choose? Turns out, Latin. Vitaerium. At the end of the day, it's a fantastic book, and my nerdy little nitpicks don't matter to 99% of the population anyway, so definitely go check it out. And James, if somehow you're listening, I know this book is a labor of love and you're awesome, and if you want to run the Latin ideas for your next book by someone to evaluate them for free, I'm here for you. Later.